Stop what you are doing for just 1 second and listen to me. I want you to think about what you did last night, right before you closed your eyes. Think about the last thing you drank, the position you slept in, and the temperature of your room. What if I told you that during those 8 hours when you thought your body was resting, recovering, and healing, your heart was actually fighting a losing battle? What if I told you that for many of you watching this, especially if you are over the age of 60, your heart isn't resting at night, it's actually working harder than it does during the day? Most people believe that heart disease is something that happens while we are active, while we are stressed at work, lifting heavy boxes, or running to catch a bus. We've been told that sleep is the safe zone. Your doctor probably told you that your resting heart rate looks good on paper, but as someone who has spent my life looking at the microscopic reality of cardiovascular aging, I'm here to tell you that for seniors, the nighttime is often when the most significant, irreversible damage occurs. I am Dr. James, and today I am going to reveal a biological truth that the mainstream medical world almost never discusses with patients. I am going to break down exactly what happens to your heart muscle, your blood pressure, and your oxygen levels between the hours of 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. By the end of this video, you will understand the 3 specific nighttime triggers that are causing your heart to stiffen and scar while you sleep. More importantly, I'm going to give you 3 simple, life-saving adjustments you can make tonight without a prescription and without spending a dime that will finally give your heart the rest it has been begging for. This isn't about sleep hygiene or getting your 8 hours. This is about the mechanical and chemical survival of your heart muscle. The myth of the resting heart, resting. Before we get into the habits, we have to address a fundamental misunderstanding of how the aging heart works. When you are 20 years old, your heart is incredibly efficient. When you lay down to sleep, your nervous system flips a switch. Your heart rate drops, your blood pressure dips by about 10% to 20%, what we call nocturnal dipping, and your heart muscle finally gets to relax and repair itself. But as we pass age 60, something changes. Because our arteries have naturally become a bit stiffer and our nervous system becomes less flexible, many seniors become what we call non-dippers. This means that when you go to sleep, your blood pressure stays high. Your heart never gets that 8-hour break. Imagine running your car's engine at 3,000 RPMs for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without ever letting it idle. Eventually, the gaskets blow, the metal warps, the engine fails. When your heart doesn't dip at night, the constant pressure causes the walls of your heart to thicken, a condition called left ventricular hypertrophy. This makes the heart less like a flexible pump and more like a rigid brick. So why is your heart refusing to idle at night? It usually comes down to these 3 silent triggers. Trigger number 1, the thick blood dehydration trap. I see this in my clinic every single week. A patient comes in, 65 or 70 years old, and they tell me, "Dr. James, I stopped drinking all liquids at 6 p.m. because I don't want to wake up 3 times a night to use the bathroom." It sounds logical. You want a full night's sleep, so you cut off the water. But here is the biological price you pay for that convenience. By the time 2 or 3 a.m. rolls around, you have gone 8 or 9 hours without a single drop of moisture. During that time, you are losing water through your breath and your skin. Your blood volume begins to drop. And when your blood volume drops, your blood becomes physically thicker and more viscous. Think about the difference between pumping water through a garden hose and trying to pump cold molasses through that same hose. When your blood is thick and sludgy from nighttime dehydration, your heart has to generate massive amounts of force just to push that blood through your system. This drives your nighttime blood pressure through the roof. It creates immense friction against the lining of your arteries, causing microscopic tears. But it gets worse. Because your blood is thicker, your heart is at its highest risk for forming a clot. This is exactly why the vast majority of heart attacks and strokes happen in the early morning hours. The heart simply gives out under the strain of pumping sludge through a dehydrated system. You are trading the health of your heart for the convenience of not getting out of bed. The solution: you don't need to drink a gallon of water before bed, but you must stop the dehydration cutoff. I want you to have a small glass of water with a tiny pinch of sea salt for electrolytes right before bed. The salt helps your body actually hold on to the hydration in your cells rather than just sending it straight to your bladder. You might still have to get up once, but your heart will be pumping water instead of molasses. Trigger number 2, the silent suffocation, positional stress. This is the one that most seniors are completely unaware of. It's not just what you do before bed, it's how you are lying in the bed. As we age, we often carry a bit more weight in our midsection, and our airway tissues become a bit more relaxed. When you sleep flat on your back, gravity pulls everything down. Your tongue, your soft palate, and even your internal organs push against your diaphragm. For millions of seniors, this leads to a subclinical oxygen drop. You might not have full-blown sleep apnea where you wake up gasping, but your oxygen levels are dipping into the 80s or low 90s for hours. When your brain senses that oxygen is low, it panics. It doesn't wake you up fully, but it sends a massive jolt of adrenaline to your heart. It's like someone walking into your room and screaming in your ear while you're asleep. Your heart rate spikes, your blood pressure surges, your heart muscle, which is already starving for oxygen, is suddenly forced to work at 100% capacity. This repeated adrenaline soaking every night causes the heart muscle to become scarred and fibrotic. If you wake up in the morning feeling unrefreshed, or if you have a headache the moment you open your eyes, your heart has likely been suffocating all night long. The solution: gravity is either your enemy or your friend. If you are a back sleeper, you need to stop. Sleeping on your left side is the cardiac position. It allows for better lymphatic drainage from the brain and takes the pressure of your heavy internal organs off your major blood vessels. If you can't stay on your side, use a wedge pillow to elevate your head by just 15 degrees. That slight incline is often enough to keep the airway open and stop the adrenaline spikes that are scarring your heart. Trigger number 3, the blue light cortisol surge. We've all heard that we shouldn't look at our phones before bed. You've heard it so many times it probably sounds like white noise now. But I want to tell you why this matters specifically for a 60-year-old heart. Your heart's rhythm is dictated by your circadian clock. When your eyes perceive blue light from a TV, a phone, or a tablet late at night, it sends a signal to your brain that the sun is up. Your brain responds by suppressing melatonin and releasing cortisol. Cortisol is a go hormone. It prepares your body for action. It tells your heart to tighten up the arteries and increase the force of its contraction. When you have high cortisol levels at 11 p.m., your heart is physically unable to enter the repair phase. It stays in alert mode. This chronic nighttime cortisol exposure is one of the leading drivers of atrial fibrillation, AFib, in seniors. The electrical system of the heart becomes irritable because it's being bombarded by stress signals when it should be bathed in the healing power of melatonin. You are effectively keeping your heart in a state of low-grade fight or flight all night long. The solution: I want you to try the blackout hour. 1 hour before you intend to sleep, all screens go off. Not dimmed, not with a night filter, off. Use that hour to listen to music, read a physical book, or talk to your partner. This allows your cortisol levels to drop and your melatonin to rise. Melatonin isn't just for sleep, it is a powerful antioxidant that specifically repairs the mitochondria, the power plants inside your heart cells. The Heart Restoration Protocol. I know this might feel like a lot to take in. You might be thinking, Dr. James, I've been sleeping on my back and watching the news before bed for 20 years. Is the damage already done? I want to give you a piece of news that gives me hope every single day. The heart is incredibly resilient. When you stop the nighttime triple threat, the dehydration, the suffocation, and the cortisol, your heart begins to heal almost immediately. Within just a few nights of proper hydration and oxygenation, the inflammation in your endothelium begins to subside. Your nocturnal dipping can return. Your heart can finally move from survival mode back into thriving mode. Here is your checklist for tonight. 1. The mineral sip. Drink 6 to 8 ounces of water with a tiny pinch of sea salt 30 minutes before bed. 2. The left side shift. Use a pillow or a wedge to ensure you aren't suffocating on your back. Give your heart the oxygen it's starving for. 3. The blackout hour. Give your heart 60 minutes of peace before you ask it to sleep. No news, no scrolling, no stress. You have one heart. It has beat for you through every single moment of your life. It has never asked for a vacation, and it has never complained about the workload. But after 60 years, it needs you to be its partner. It needs you to create the conditions where it can finally rest. I am Dr. James. If this information gave you a light bulb moment today, if it made you realize why you've been feeling exhausted or why your blood pressure won't stay down, I want you to do two things. First, go down to the comments and type resting. I want to know who is committing to giving their heart a real break tonight. I read every single one of those comments, and they help me know that this message is reaching the people who need it most. Second, if you have a friend or a spouse who struggles with their sleep or their heart health, send this video to them. We spend so much time worrying about what we do during the day, but it's what happens in the dark that often determines how many years we have left. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your trust, and as always, take exquisite care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next consultation.